Alright, everybody, we should be live for our weekly show here. It is going to be for the week of August 2nd, 2020, only 1 month left in summer. So, welcome to our weekly discussion on game dev topics. Joining me, as always, is indie game developer Sharky. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I had this really refreshing shower of glass
Mm.
earlier this week. That was interesting. Thankfully, I'm mostly unhurt. You
Oh,
know,
good to hear. I didn't know you
it,
were the masochist too. You're having glass showers now?
I'm not the masochist. I'm just the one that suffers all the pain that does not want the pain.
Okay.
You purposely subject yourself to the pain.
Mm-hmm.
I just am targeted by the pain and try to avoid it at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy, it's been, as always, a very interesting week. I gave a presentation about Mario Maker earlier, and I am officially less than 30 days away from my deadline for book number 3. So it is going. Time just flew by this summer.
Yeah, time's flying by for me, and still not a programmer,
Mm-mm.
and that's not good.
No.
Especially seeing how the last guy seemed pretty sketch.
Good luck with the programmer hunt there.
Yeah, I definitely need it, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to even really hunt for one until next month.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
And, and we're still, of course, stuck inside. Of course, now I have a better excuse because it's now like 95 degrees, so I can use that as my reason not to leave the house.
wait, are we stuck inside?
Mm-hmm.
I
Well,
didn't
you're stuck in
realize
the
that.
ocean.
Yeah, I didn't realize it because I just generally stay in the ocean all the time. Inside the ocean. So I didn't know that we were actually stuck inside.
Unless when you have your glass showers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mojo. Yeah, I had an interview on another YouTuber's channel, and it was a lot of fun. Again, it's nice when I don't have to worry about audio editing or anything like that. Just let somebody else do all the work. Let's
I
see.
thought you were the masochist and you wanted all the audio editing.
No, I have to do image sourcing. That is peak masochism coming up. Oh boy, not looking forward to that. But let's
Or are you?
see. Games play this week. I guess for me, I've been checking out Fey Tactics, which I don't know. I'm feeling very iffy on that game. I know that I know a lot of the difficulty spikes I have with that game is the fact that I'm playing on hard, but in the same vein, the issues with the game are systemic and they're just made worse on hard difficulty.
Yeah, like after I had you check into that on me for me, like I was like, yeah, I was really interested in the game, and then I played the demo, and then I lost my interest, and then Josh was telling me about these other systems in there. I got
Mm-hmm.
more excited about it, and then Josh played it another night, and it's like, and then Josh did the confirmation, and it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna buy that.
And maybe if it goes on deep discount, we'll see what happens for people. But again, it's one of those things where I'm looking at the reviews of it, and they are incredibly positive with games like this. But it reminds me a lot of God of War, where you don't really see the problems until you play at the higher difficulties.
Well, not from what I've seen. Like I've seen a couple of negative reviews right off the bat.
Yeah, but are they
Did
playing it on hard or are they playing on normal? That's the question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, what is the reviews like now?
It is positive. It's at 96 reviews at the moment. So word of mouth is
It
spreading.
says 82%,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot higher than what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
But
And according to this, here's another bit of oddity. Somebody did some data mining. They figured out that the missions scale based on the number of story missions you complete. Which, again, it feels like the developers, like, this is their first time making a tactical strategy game. And it just, you can just, like, see those pain points developing. And hi, John, thanks for coming on. And Matthew.
Yeah, and like as somebody who's made a tactical RPG and everything
Mm-hmm.
and dearly loves it, like I mean, it a lot of their systems just feel like lesser systems of games that we've already seen, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the direction system. I mean, that's like really old school, Final Fantasy Tactics
Yeah.
kind of thing. And that was one of the worst mechanics in that game. They solved the primary issue with that being one of the worst mechanics by making it one sided in the player's advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But back when you played Final Fantasy Tactics kind of thing, the enemies would do it as well as your characters, and all you do is walk around to the back side of the character every time. Just have an extra two, spend your extra two movement to get that advantage, and the NPC does it to you all the time. And the only way that any strategy came besides just move an extra two blocks is if you could know every character's movement range
Mm-hmm.
and make it where you were at least within that by two blocks or outside of that by two blocks, so that they could come up to you in your face but not behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rather pointless and stupid, and it's still that way in Fate Tactics, but they've solved the big issue of the NPCs being able to do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just do that to them now, get that unfair advantage against them, and they don't do it back to you really.
And if
But
you expose your back to them, they will do it. Like, the AI knows how to play the game. They
well,
will.
yeah, but I'm not talking about exposing your back to them. I'm talking about exposing your front to them, and then they walk around you to your back.
Mm-hmm.
aka cheesing it.
Yeah.
The NPCs always cheesed it in Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah. But speaking about cheese, like, the two things that just really annoyed me. One is the fact that the enemies get infinite unit respawns and the player doesn't. Because the
Mm-hmm.
whole game is just stacked against or stacked towards buffs. Because the buffs in the game are permanent for that battle. So the longer the battle goes, the side that has the most units has the most advantage. But when the enemy can literally just keep summoning units every 4 or 5 turns, and then those units buff the units that are already there, suddenly you have your leader, the enemy leader, who can just one-shot everybody on your team because it's been super stacked.
Yeah, that's a balance issue. Like there's a right way and a wrong way to do that kind of thing, and the wrong way would be how they have it, just infinite spawns.
Mm-hmm.
The right way would be, hey, this is a specific boss fight or whatever, and you get to a certain point in the progression of your battle, and then it's like, oh no, here comes the reinforcements kind of thing, and you're like, oh no, and you get a little cutscene kind of thing,
Yeah.
introduces them, and it's like, oh no, this stage is a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is that the rewards only count if you finish the entire chain of missions in, like, that specific story quest. So if you
That is
do,
really bad.
yeah, that was just a huge hit. You get 3 out of the 4 done, and then you can't beat that final mission. You have to go back to the map menu. You lose all the progress. You lose all the resources you got. And the thing that really hurts is when we played it that one night, I got this really great spell that gives plus 10 attack to a unit. I'm not finding that spell again. And because I had to quit out of the map, I lost that spell entirely. And again, like you do not want the player to be losing progress in games like this.
Or at least if they're losing progress, they're not losing that much progress. I'm against losing pretty much any progress. I mean, you know that
Mm-hmm.
from my last game because
Yeah.
we didn't take away any progress because why would you punish a player
Mm-hmm.
that's doing worse by making them do even worse? I mean,
Yeah.
that's like that's kind of like a Sekiro kind of thing
I was
to
about
where
to say that too.
where you get the worse you do, the worse you do in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I just really don't like that. I don't like punishment mechanics like that, especially when you're
Mm-hmm.
punishing the ones that
Yep.
are having a hard time and you're not punishing the ones that aren't having a hard time. If they
Mm-hmm.
lose a map, then they're having a hard time. If they win the map, then they
Mm-hmm.
may not be having a hard time.
Yeah.
But
And just want to chime in there. Chat is talking about like old and Nintendo classics, Advance Wars, Paper Mario, and stuff like that. Yeah, I want another Advance Wars game myself. And somebody commented about wanting a darker Paper Mario. Matthew did, and what they're saying is that the new Paper Mario game is a very dark story. Like Princess Peach once she's been mind controlled. She's like enslaving people now. It just sounds very weird for a Mario game.
sounds like a fanfic. What it sounds like. But Advance Wars is truly a classic, and it's a very different kind of tactical RPG. I would almost call it not a tactical RPG. It's almost a genre of its own. It's like a
It's
subgenre of tactical RPG, almost kind of thing.
it's more strategy oriented, but then you have the various COs who alter the battle and alter how the units behave.
Yeah, it's a very different kind of tactical RPG at the least,
Hmm.
kind of thing.
Speaking about tactical RPGs, I got the announcement from Nice that they're finally porting the SKF 4 to the PC. I think
Oh,
this
thank
fall.
God! I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
Disgaea 4 is one of my favorites. Disgaea 1 and 4 are my favorites. I
Yeah.
still got to try to get through 5, but I haven't been able to. I played it a little bit and then stopped.
Hmm.
Started over, played a little bit, stopped, started over, played a little bit,
That's how you play
and
any
I.
of the SKF games.
But I completely played through like one like 2 or 3 times. I wonder if I'm having a problem getting hooked in the newest one
Hmm. Well, the newer
because
ones, I feel like they change up the progression a little bit. That it that they slow things down. I think in a way it does hurt it to some extent.
yeah, I'm unaware of the problem so far, but like just really having issues getting into it kind of thing. Like I stopped playing it, and then right after I stopped playing it, I started playing Disgaea 1, and I went from the beginning to the end. And then I did New Game Plus and went from beginning to the end right after that. So I couldn't get past the first like couple boards of 5, but I went all the way through twice through the entire game of Disgaea 1 right immediately in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder, kind of thing. Um, and I know John said something about Wargroove.
I was
I
about
I
to say
don't
that. Yeah.
I don't care for Wargroove personally. Like that is one of the games that got got a review from me, and it was a negative one. And because Wargroove is like a tactical RPG
Mm-hmm.
without the tacticalness, because with their whole fog of war system, which is a neat idea, but it doesn't work because the whole point of a fog of war system,
Mm-hmm.
well, the whole point of a tactical RPG system is to prevent you from doing. Well, the whole point of a tactical system is so that you can plan and use tactics, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. When you cannot plan until they are right in your face,
It's like
then
It's like playing rock paper scissors, and you don't know what the person's going. Or it's kind of like that kind of system, but you can't really prepare your units. You're supposed to be psychic and know exactly what the enemy's going to throw at you before they get within range.
Yeah, it's it's like you're you're it's like a war, and in real life, a war is very much based off of information. You get the information, people have communications, spies, lookouts, all that kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that information and you use that information to make your plans and your tactics kind of thing. And then once the leader has the tactics and everything, he passes that down to the others, and they carry out the tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where you don't get any kind of information.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get any information until you're right up on the person. I believe that if they do, they do it quite differently, because I remember being able to very much strategize stuff in Advanced Wars.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And again, you have.
Maybe it's because of the range of the Fog of War. Because like I think the range of the Fog of War in War Group was like 3 or 4 squares, which they had a movement of like 5 squares. So like they could be outside of your view range, and right within their attack range.
Yep. And again, like when you have, and it's one of those same issues I with Fey Tactics, that once you game the system, it becomes a lot easier. But it's going to put off a lot of people to get to that point. And like I'm seeing that with Fey Tactics, that once you get, enough scrolls, you get high level support units, yes, you're going to be able to survive and beat these maps whether you're playing on normal or hard. But how many people are going to want to invest in the game to get to that point?
Yeah. And it's just the question on, like I feel like War Group particularly is the tactical RPG with no tactics. I mean, the only real tactics in War Group, I feel, is just doing one playthrough, revealing all the map, figuring out where everybody is, so you can actually know where they're going to come from, and then go back and after you lose, and go back and do a second playthrough. Now that you know where the units are, and actually use tactics, because it's just not usable the way they are. Maybe if they gave more range in there, for the units, But like I remember, I think it was the dogs that had a good range of view. And I remember taking them and posting them up in mountains and whatnot, so they have even more range, kind of thing. But I had to keep on moving them, and I would lose my view, and to gain another one, and then they would, the computer would, it would just spawn enemies behind me, and it's like, it's just unfair on so many levels, and so anti-tactics, because tactics is all about making a tactical decision. If you don't have information, then how can you make a tactical decision? I expect you to give me a cup. Okay, where's the cups at? There is no cups. It feels like the Matrix. There is no spoon.
Let's see. And for people watching this live, tonight I'll be doing just a night of roguelike. So I need to start gathering all those lovely images that I need for the book. And again, you have until the end of this month for a $15 donation to get an acknowledgement. So if you ever dreamt of being mentioned in a book that answers the question, what is a road like? Now is the time to do it.
I get in there by default though, right? Because you've got to mention me for most of your stories. You've got to be like, well, I kept on dying at this one part of the game, and Sharky, told me to get good.
Let's see. Oh, here's a little quick like news slash tangent. I guess in the duh category. So one of the mobile games I was trying, Arc Knight, released a gotcha banner that apparently earned the company like a stupid amount of money. And there's people going, "Oh my god, can you believe how much money they made?" And it reminds me a lot of the Battlefield free-to-play game that came out like 10 years ago, when they were just discovering that if you release something under a limited time and put it behind a paywall, people are going to spend lots and lots of money on it.
Oh yeah, that's like stacking abusive method on top of abusive method. You have the abusive method of the limited time,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the abusive method of, hey, you're going to have to pay a lot of money to get this.
Yeah. But no, you have a 2% chance of possibly getting a 6-star, but not that 6-star, so it's even less than 2%.
Mm,
Like I have all my luck. I can totally do that. I can get that every time I spend money, right?
yeah, I mean you got infinite money, so
Oh,
it
yeah,
shouldn't be a
sure.
problem.
Yeah, we all have infinite money, right?
Yeah. The issue is while it did not work on you, Matthew, it works on so many people,
Oh, yeah.
especially ones that have already put money into the game because got the sunk cost fallacy.
Yep.
It's very manipulative in psychology in the way that things work.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about spending, like, they had a deal for $25 for a 6-star character, and then I realized as I was looking, I go, wait a minute. I have video games, like actual games I could buy for $20 to $25. I'm having trouble rationalizing. Why would I spend $25 on a microtransaction in a mobile game?
Yeah, I mean they get you in with the little stuff and then they
Mm-hmm.
work you up.
Yeah.
And on my mobile game that I'm playing right now, I let myself fall into the hole on purpose to examine the hole from the inside because this will allow me to gain more knowledge. And I'm currently ranked sixth on my server,
Yeah.
but it's there's definitely lots of bad monetization there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I'm seeing on Green Man, they're offering me Resident Evil 3 for $30. And I definitely want to come back to the discussion about game pricing and game value at some point, because I'm having a tough time even rationally spending $30 on Resident Evil 3. And it's, again, the whole issue when it comes to pricing content, pricing video games, is that there is no such thing as, rating, or what's the term? Appraising a video game. Exactly, Ryu.
Yeah, and see the problem is that you know letting myself fall into that hole is it is manipulating me, and I'm not necessarily seeing the manipulation right when it happens, but rather after the fact, right? Like you, I'm having trouble seeing spending $30 on a Resident Evil game, or
Mm-hmm.
$20 on this game, or whatever price. You know what I mean? Yet, even with that, like the game gets deep into psychology, and has me drop $5 here, $5 there,
Mm-hmm.
$10 here, $10 there, $20 here. Just I think it was about a week ago. I dropped. I think it was $15 on one package, and like 5 days before, 2 3 days before that, I put $5 on another one that just gives me a lot of their paid currency. It's like the best deal for their paid currency because it's like, hey, you can buy this thing for $15 and it'll give you 400 of our paid currency every day, kind of thing. And you buy this one here for $5 and it'll give you 100 of the free currency, the paid currency every day. Where, hey, you can get times 2 of your purchase. If you pay $15, you'll get, I think it's like I think it's like 3,000 of the free currency or something. But that's only a first time deal kind of thing. But it's like, wait a minute, I can buy that for 50. I can get 3,000 for 15, or I can get this thing that gives for 15 that gives me 400 a day. That by the end of 30 days, it's going to give me like 32,000 or something. It's like, do I want, 3,000 immediately for $15, or do I want 32,000 over, the next 30 days? It's like, well, duh.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they do that on purpose. Actually, I'm positive they do it on purpose because basically you put forth a bad deal in front of consumers and they're like, no, I don't want to buy that. And then they look and this deal is good by comparison. It's still a very, very bad deal, but it's a good deal by comparison because you're like, well, this is going to cost, get 32 versus that one only getting 3 kind of thing. And, your mind, your brain does a comparison there. And that's exactly what they want you to do because that is a, psychological trick because you're like, this is so much better than this. This is a good deal because this is 10 times better. That makes this a good deal, right? No, it doesn't. It makes it a good deal comparatively, but you can't get squat for that. Like that 3,200 is going to get you, if you spend that all on characters kind of thing, that's, I think it's like something like 2,200 to get 10 spins on a wheel to get a guaranteed character, which is almost guaranteed to be crap, but not.
They did. Yeah, when I played a Marvel Strike Force, they did something like that as well, where it's like, here, spend $60 for 50 shards for a character. It sounds great until you realize in order to fully max a character out, you need, I think, what was it, like, almost like 600 shards in order to get that character's 6-star rank. So, again, it's that issue of manipulating people by fudging the numbers in terms of what these values are.
Yeah, you put a bad deal out there, and your other bad deal, you put out a horrible deal, and your really bad deal looks like a good deal compared, and you get sold on that.
Yeah, and again, like it's that, like from chat talking about some of these mobile games that hook people into being forced to join guilds, or if you don't sign in every day. I despise daily timers. I don't mind logging onto a game, getting a little bit of rewards. Okay, that's fine. But don't tell me, oh, you need to sign on at exactly, from 12 to 2, 5 to 6, 8 to 9 every day, or you lose out on resources.
Yeah. And the daily logins is abusive to a certain point, but it's also not necessarily all that bad at the same time. But there's got to be a better way to do it, and I'm hoping to come up with that better way. At the moment, what I'm thinking is that yes, we have daily bonuses kind of thing, and you get a reward for signing in daily. But if you don't sign in daily, let's say you wait like 30 days, you're out for 30 days. When you sign in, you get a mega login bonus where, maybe it's not the equivalent to all 30 days, it's equivalent to 29. And it gives that player that really big boost there that, hey, they didn't really miss out on something. It's just, where do we take that one out? Do we take that one out on day 2? So if they miss one day, then they get screwed completely, or do we take it out on the third day so that I mean, where's that day where we take one out? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out, because like it's a question on how to do it in a way that is good for the player, because I don't want to force them to log in every day. I definitely want to encourage them to log in every day, but I don't want it to be
Mm-hmm.
manipulative and abusive kind of thing, to where you have to log in or else you're screwed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, and to Matthew's point, yeah, they'll have. There's also, I know games will use microtransactions, or they'll have like a VIP purchase that boosts the things you get daily. So you have to spend money to then sign in more, so you get more resources.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
I know the one that I'm playing right now. It's got a VIP system that's just basically tracking how much money you paid,
Mm-hmm.
and and it doesn't really give you log on bonuses. What it does is, well, it's basically a log on bonus. It's just through a different light. Is if you get to a certain VIP level, there's this new quest that pops up every day of, hey, get these materials just by clicking the quest, which
Mm-hmm.
is basically a login bonus.
Yeah.
But it's a second log-on bonus, and then I think you get another one once you get up to another VIP level. And you know, I don't see that being bad as of giving you more log-on bonuses. But what I see bad is a balance issue. You're giving the paying players just so much more for free.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if anything, I think it would probably be better like taking away their log-on bonuses the more they paid.
And don't forget when Ramin came on, that they'll they'll raise the price on transactions for people with higher VIP levels because they know they're already hooked. So like he was saying, like one of the things he used to pay like $20-$30 for, he started charging him like $90 to $100 because he was VIP level 7 or 8.
That's really, really abusive.
Oh yeah. Again, it's very easy to make an abusive video game.
Yep.
Hmm.
Really hard not to, because when you don't take advantage of those abuses kind of thing, you're literally shooting your income in the foot.
Yeah.
And
And to Pony's point about 4 to 6 different currencies, they revealed footage of that new Avengers game that's coming out, and like one of the screens looks like right out of one of those like mobile idle games. You have all these things you have to equip. There's like 4 or 5 different currencies along the bottom, and I don't know, that one I'm getting some red flags on just like watching people talk about it.
oh yeah, and all the currencies, like the more currencies they have, the more abusive they are generally. Which
Mm-hmm.
is the reason why we're only having a free currency and
Mm-hmm.
allowing you to buy more of the free currency.
Yeah.
And that's going to all 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 of my game, the economy I've built for this game is set to where if the free currency is invaluable, then the game's going to fail. So it would be up to me to make that free currency worth something, because
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much the only one.
Yeah. And like from chat saying, like the more currencies you have, it it dilutes the game, makes it harder to really figure out what's going on, and it's there again to manipulate people. Like,
Yeah, the harder it is to get to understand, the more confused you are. That's what they want. They want you confused,
mm-hmm.
because the confusion is meant there to confuse you into getting lost. And once you're confused into getting lost, then you're trying to get help, and you use money to get that help.
Mm-hmm. Somebody commented on one of my posts saying if I try this other mobile game, it's from the same developer as Arknight. It's a basic shmup where instead of anime girls as tower defense, it's anime girls as ships. And I played for like 10 minutes and I saw like 5 to 10 different currencies and resources to track and all this other stuff. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this.
Oh, I think I know the game you're talking about, the waifu simulator.
Doesn't that describe like 20 different mobile games at this point?
It probably describes a lot more than that,
Yeah.
but
F Zero. Alright, but let's move on and let's take a look at some of the weird games coming out because I think we could just rant about these two topics, Fate Tactics and mobile games, for the next hour.
yeah, it's not really even our topics. There are, just our intro,
Yeah, the intro turned into a topic.
basically.
Alright, let me see here. There we go. And what I will do to make things a little bit easier is we'll keep to a rule of 5 pages. So that way it's not just me scanning things for the next 40 minutes, hopefully.
And we definitely could use the time because we've
Mm-hmm.
already used up 30 minutes,
Yeah.
35.
So this is the game I keep seeing people talk about. Again, it's another one of those YouTuber React games. First person survival horror.
That means you
Welsh.
gotta get good with your YouTuber reactions.
Mhm. And with stealth.
Well, do they have grenades in there?
No, I don't know if that. Oh, they have a sonic device. I don't think that's a grenade.
Is it a sonic grenade?
Maybe. In 1890.
I mean, if it's a sonic grenade, then you might be able to beat it. Yeah, because
Probably, Ryu. Probably at least 2 or 3. Let's see. The Scam.
just to Ryu,
Oh, wait, I think we looked at this one last week.
was it a scam last week?
Possibly. So here, like, this could actually be a really interesting discussion when we go to marketing in the next part of this. You see this game Wick.
Mm-hmm.
The thumbnail looks reasonably well done. Like it has a very clean look to it. So click on the game. Art has a nice look to it, and then here's something that just really annoys me. The main character is called John Wick for obvious reasons, and it just seems like trying to score points, but I think it dilutes the game in the process.
And depends on the rest of the game. Like if it has that dark atmosphere, but it's really a comedy kind of thing, then yeah. I mean, the John Wick, I can't even say it. That name will work well, But if it's not a comedy game kind of thing, comedy it has a big forefront, then yeah, it's a detraction from it.
Mm-hmm.
And from all the screenshots, it definitely does not look like a comedy in any kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Look can be deceiving, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, like if we were to take the screenshots by their 100% value, it's not a comedy game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would be either a game design issue or a marketing issue kind of thing.
And Frog Fractions is getting the Game of the Decade edition coming out.
It was game of the decade.
I guess so. I didn't. Oh, thank you, Pony. I didn't get the announcement about that.
I didn't either.
So this one kind of caught my eye. It's a CCG. Looks very Warhammer inspired.
Very sci-fi.
Gameplay based on the '90s Doom Trooper. I never played that one.
Some of the card UIs look like something I've seen in an asset pack.
Mm-hmm.
They may be.
Yeah. Could be. Again, there's only so much you can do with a CCG UI before you just make it too obscure and hard to follow.
Yeah,
There's Fall
but
Guy.
I think there's a lot more things than you think of. I mean, look at my game's UI. It's very, very different from pretty much everything else out there.
Hmm. Here's one of those games that, again, the art looks very detailed, but it still looks derivative to me. It's got that Unreal sheen.
It's got the lighting engine sheen. That's what that is.
I am. This is one of those games that, again, it's very hard to sell somebody on a puzzle game through screenshots. So this is a first-person physics-based puzzle game where you need to creatively combine magnetism and gravity. So I don't see how you do that in these screenshots. Like, this is a game where I like a short GIF or video. I think would be very handy for marketing it.
The issue is in terms of gameplay perspective, magnetism and gravity are the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Because
yeah.
gravity just pulls it down, and magnetism pulls it in whatever direction you want it to pull.
Yep.
Sounds like just a single mechanic kind of thing.
And again, like, none of this is really telling me physics-based puzzle game. Huh? I'm gonna put in for it as a maybe. We'll see what happens. Scully. There's that game that you we tried from Itch that you recommended, Verdant Village. So it looks like it's coming to Steam, but I don't know if it's coming to Steam as being finished, or most likely it's coming to Steam as being in early access.
That art looks pretty dang rough.
Yeah. Blue. What the? How about this art?
That is looking like an asset flip.
Ew.
Oh yeah, that is
Mm.
almost guaranteed to be an asset flip.
I like that hair. I like the lighting on that hair in that picture. That's like Sonic blue right there. Maybe this is a Sonic game.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, when you look at gravity, it attracts you like magnetism. It's kind of the same mechanic.
Oh, good. Here's another little marketing tip. One of the features is confusing levels. You don't want to say that your levels are confusing as a marketing point.
I mean, you might if you're one of those free to play mobile games.
So here's the wild card for me for this week coming up, Phantasy Star Online 2. I have really fond memories of the first Phantasy Star game. I think that was either the first or the second like MMO style game I played way back then. It was a game that I played when I heard that Sega was pulling out of the console market. I was literally playing Phantasy Star when that news came out. So I really want to see how this game plays. I've never played Phantasy Star Online 2. I've heard good things about it, but I just don't know if it's going to hold my attention today.
Get a key for it.
Oh, it's free to play.
Well,
So,
get a key for it.
eh. Wait, it's an 80 gig download? Damn. How much fantasy is in this game?
80 gigs of it.
And that's fantasy with a P, not with an F. Well, we'll give that a try on the 5th. And look at this, and we were talking about like Fey Tactics and stuff. Here's a tactical strategy steampunk game with turn-based Fire Emblem-esque combat.
Mm-hmm. Trying to see the screenshots.
kind of looks mobily to me a little bit.
Yeah, that map definitely looks mobile,
Mm-hmm.
as does that like UI. All the UI seems to look mobile.
Yeah. Has a very. It looks like it's very gesture based. You know, you click, you put your finger on, and move it around. Like
Yeah,
I bet this game doesn't have any hotkeys to it. That's usually a really strong sign it's a mobile game. Doom Eternal is less than Phantasy Star Online. Damn. Olympus Griddlers? Okay, I was not expecting that image. I have no idea what this gameplay is. Is it a cross game? Oh wait, it's a Japanese crossword game with Greek mythology.
Huh.
There's a combination I wasn't expecting.
You should get good at expecting.
Another Tuhu game. Okay. Oh, good. All characters are animated. More than 10 unique animated scenes.
More than 10, so that means 11.
I guess. Okay. Ooh, we're approaching infinity. And the universe is infinite. Good. Wait, what? There's a lot of infinite in this game. Ugh. Procedural crafting. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, that sounds bad. Infinite death, infinite gear, infinite challenge, infinite everything. This sounds like procedural generation, the game,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like a lot of red flags.
Oh, yes. Hmm.
It's infinite in terms of humanity.
Oh, the
'Cause-
humanity?
yeah, because all the humanity, nobody would ever go through all of them.
Undermine is coming out next this week. I'm definitely going to play that one on stream. We've been playing it on and off throughout early access, and with the game finally out, I definitely want to do a complete run on it. Ooh, what the hell is this?
Maybe it's 80 gigs of fantasy.
Is this a VR game? These screenshots look like they belong almost like to different games, almost.
That might be with a remote camera.
Yeah. Very busy. Drink more glurp.
That sounds interesting.
Physics sports hot seat party game. Hmm. Oh, it has massive replayability.
And you know what I meant by interesting, right?
Red flags.
Memes.
Making it home. What's this? Vehicle building game.
Are you talking about Fall Guys? Oh yeah. You were. Yeah, Fall Guys were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I liked it, but there's still a lot of red flags to the game actually surviving.
Mm-hmm.
What sounds like a medical condition, red flags.
Mm-hmm.
There goes a D-mod from John, a good one.
Oh, here's one. There is no game. The real game is the friends we make along the way.
That name has so many red flags in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh no. Oh wait. This is a gym? Okay. So it's a game of all the games then.
It's a game of games, not to be confused with a Game of Thrones. It's a game of games.
All right, yeah, we looked at Pandora already, I think. Yeah, I remember the pig riding. All right, final page. Rock, paper, scissors, strip. Okay, I only am clicking on that one.
I'm gonna have to sue him.
Mm-hmm. You need the NC-17 patch for Chromasia.
Yeah, I'm already working on it.
There you go.
I mean, the thing is most of them are already nude because there's very little clothing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But gotta strip them of the last few bits they had.
Dragon and Weed. That's a name. And then right below that, Arctectus?
Architectics.
Okay, you are building homes. I do like how there's a warning about performance issues with this game.
Yeah, you know what this sounds like? That one game. I forget the name of it. The one game where you build and remodel houses. Well, not
The
build, but
Sims?
no. It was the first person one.
House Flipping Simulator?
Yeah, House Flipper.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of a super early version of House Flipper, like before it existed on the storefront.
Mm-hmm. Alright. I'm going to use my, let's see if my psychic powers work here. This Warriors of the Nile. I am predicting this is either a match 3 game or like a very basic, like, puzzle kind of thing. Let's see if I'm right. Oh. Looks like a tactical strategy game again. Huh. I was completely wrong. They actually, threw me for a loop there.
A Fruit Loop,
Looks like an Egyptian loop.
an Egyptian Fruit Loop.
Two-man team from China. We love strategy games. Ancient Egyptian theme. 3 unique units. Use various tablets. Random levels and powerful bosses. You can choose from one.
Actually, that sort of somewhat reminds me of Tim's game there.
A little bit. Choose from 1 3 times. Try different combinations. Weapons and signals make your name in battle. Purchase in the market. Wait a minute. Why does this sound like a mobile, like, kind of game?
It could be. Try to get a key.
Could have potential, but oh, I just saw something that kind of gave me a red flag. Right
Uh-oh.
here, I can see that there is a building level, which means that there's a progression system like that. And this looks like premium currency to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
If it is, and that's tons of red flags.
well, maybe it will be surprising. We'll see.
Yep.
Alright, but let us head back over here. And let's get to our main topic, or I guess topic 3 for our chat today. So,
Our inadvertent third topic.
let us talk about the basics of video game marketing. That thing that, as the thumbnail I made, every developer loves to do marketing, right? It's their favorite. It's better than making the video game.
Oh yeah. Marketing is like the most fun part of any video game, making. Why bother being creative when you could, sell somebody on something?
And you don't even need a video game at that point.
Yeah. You can just sell them on on some magic crystals.
Good. But as we say, like, the thumbnail for this piece is going to be the basics, because there is a ton that goes into marketing that Shark and I are not versed on the expert side. We would probably need to grab somebody like Tim, who has done marketing professionally in the past for this.
Or the person I connected you with.
If they ever get back to me, they disappeared.
Well, you're going to have to get back with him, Lord.
But there's different parts about when we talk about marketing in this aspect. And I have a part that I want to discuss in terms of putting the word out about your game and showing it to people. And Shark has some topics he wants to discuss. So I want to let you start. So when we talk about the intro or the basics of marketing, what comes to your mind?
Well, there's this term that is known in the marketing industry called the marketing hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
And while this is, far from an be all kind of thing, this is a sort of overview from a far away kind of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's quite easy to understand once you go into it, kind of thing. It's going to sound complicated because it's literally 7 steps, 7 segments to it. But all the segments in their basic form are easy. You have the first, and of course it applies differently to games, and we'll go over that in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But there's first the marketing side, and under the marketing banner, and you have know. That means people know that your game exists. They've seen it. It exists. It is birthed into creation in their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't got that, you can't do anything else.
Yeah.
The next part is liking. They have to like what you're showing them. This goes into visual aesthetics, and that kind of thing. The next one is trust, which this one is really kind of foggy when you get into game development.
Yeah.
But basically, it's they trust that you're going to give you a good enough product. It does come into game development through reviews, YouTube, people covering the game on YouTube. It comes in multiple different ways, kind of thing, but it's sort of more foggy with game development versus anything else, because like the main way that's kind of targeted is like you're trying to sell somebody a $500 item kind of thing, and you need to build their trust and show them that you do actually know what you're talking about. But like, yeah, so this is the short version. The next part is sales, which again, this falls under 2 different categories, and it's very different with games than anything else. The first one is try, which you can have try through a demo. If you have a demo to your game, you can have the try. Although Steam sort of has a try built into it, through you buy it, and as long as you can try for up to 2 hours and refund at any point. And then the next one is buy. Again, it's again a little bit weird with games, because a lot of times we sort of skip the try, but not completely, and you sort of go to buy to try, kind of reverse order. It's weird, but this is standard marketing we're breaking down and how it applies to games. Mm-hmm. The next banner, the last banner, is under service, and there's 2 under here. The final 2 is repeat, aka repeat customers. You can see this so many times when people play a Clay game, and then they find out somebody else, Clay made another game, and I see so many comments that are like, Clay made another game? Well, I don't know what it's about, but I got to buy it because Clay made it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one would be refer. And the thing about refer in games, it can come in multiple places. But, in terms of standard marketing, refer is at the end. After they're a repeat customer, then they want to come back and, refer people. Hey, I just bought this great thing. I bought several of these great things from this person. You should buy some too. Mm-hmm. So, you get the referrals. Now then, the way that it really differs in game development is you can refer people back on the like stage on game development. Hey, I've seen this really cool game on Twitter or on Steam. Maybe you should check it out. this game's on sale. Maybe you should check it out. Like I say, see a platformer on sale, and I'm like, this looks like something Josh might like. Hey Josh, you want to check out this game? It's not my kind of game, but maybe you would be interested. That's a refer. Off of I liked it, but it wasn't my kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you can also refer back on the trust. Like say you have a community built. That's another way that trust can be built. Is you have a community, a Discord community where you talk to your people, and people could refer them to come in to join your Discord and check out your game and everything. Refer can come right after the try. You can release a demo before the game even comes out, and people can talk about it and refer people to check it out. Like refer in game development comes at many different points, really kind of segmented kind of thing throughout the way. I mean, repeat, obviously can't come out until you make a second game and they buy your second game.
Yeah. And again, that level of trust is such a very important aspect when it comes to video games, because as we've said many times over, you are only as good as your previous game. If your last game sucked or was manipulative or you didn't finish it, you abandoned it, what's the chance somebody's going to buy your next game the second they hear about all your scummy practices?
Yeah. And there should, when you're talking about games, there's actually another thing underneath trust, because, like can actually split paths in this, and you don't even have to go to the trust route, because the other route underneath trust is fanboy / fangirl, which is a different kind of trust, a blind trust. I guess you'd call that blind trust rather than trust.
Yeah.
So you'd have trust, or you could go blind trust, and then the other thing. But if you go blind trust, then they don't even need to try it. They go straight to buy, and straight to referring, and straight to repeating. It's like if you go to blind trust, it instantly fast tracks you to every other thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. And again, that's kind of like peak marketing goal right there, for someone to just say, go buy this or go do something, and they immediately do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Banjo. Maybe someday we'll get a new Banjo game. And again, like, that is the power when it comes to continued marketing and continued building that level of trust. We see with Nintendo, Steam, Blizzard. For some reason, we see with EA and 2K, people still buying their games. That it becomes a known quantity. That okay, I really like the first Mario game, so I'm going to buy the second one, or I'm going to buy the next Diablo. And every time Blizzard pisses people off, they'll announce another new Diablo.
Yep. And how many Diablos do you think we'll be up to before Diablo 5 releases?
Well, they do another round of promotion for that mobile Diablo game. We'll probably get to what, Diablo 12?
Yeah, we'll probably have announcements for Diablo 12 before Diablo 5 actually releases.
Maybe it will be a visual novel roguelike.
That's Diablo 6.
Which one will be the match 3 gacha? Diablo 8?
No, that's Diablo 7.
Okay.
Their
We're giving them
next mobile
so
game.
many ideas. We should be hired by Blizzard.
Yeah. or rather hired by China and just placed into Blizzard.
There we go. And again, like, when it comes to the video game industry, that level of trust is such a... We've said this before, it is the double-edged sword when it comes to building your fandom. Because once you get those fans, they're going to be your evangelers. I can't even pronounce that word, my tongue is dying on me there. But you know what I'm saying, the hardcore supporters. Mm-hmm. But you do anything to annoy them, piss them off, lie to them, and you have just created the perfect pool of people who will hunt you down and just do everything in their power to screw your game.
Except for when they're really in there, and then they just still lap up the Kool-Aid
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
they
yeah.
defend it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, there are people who are like that when it comes to fandom. And again, I have my whole rant about how I don't prescribe to fandom. That it will be a little bit too much off topic for right now. And when you're trying to get people to look at your game to get that investment, it is very important to know what to show them and when to show them. And like for the part that I want to discuss, that when it comes to marketing, a big part about it is actually knowing what is the right time and what is the right content to show to people. And this is something that can be very troublesome for first time indie developers because as we all know, you may be excited about the very first prototype of your game, but you don't necessarily want to be sending that to press sites and YouTubers saying, check out my game.
Yeah. Although I feel like there is a time and place kind of thing. Like, maybe not your first version, but, after you get some refinements in there and everything, if you know a YouTuber that, covers a lot of, super early games, maybe you can give him, a key and try it out.
Yeah. And like we've said, it's important. Like this is again another major part of marketing that you need to get word out there about your game or whatever your project is as early as possible.
Yep,
Because
that's the first step. That's the no.
yeah, because the only way people are going to, again, obviously know about your game is that there has to be information out there. And when we say out there, we don't just mean post about it on your blog site that maybe gets 20 unique views a week.
Yeah. No is really, I think, the hardest step because if you could get just everybody to know about your game, as long as it's at least a decent game, not even a great or all right game, but just decent, half decent, you're going to succeed pretty much. As like even if you had like asset flip level of graphics, I mean, like you're not going to make millions of dollars or anything, but you'll definitely profit pretty well if everybody knew about it.
Oh yeah, and again, like as you said, the no is one of the hardest parts when it comes to game development because guess what? There are a lot of games being released every week as we take a look at on this show. And even if your game is the best game out of that entire bunch, what is the chance that somebody's going to find it on the Steam page when they're looking at all the other games? And this is a part of that problem because many indie developers still hold on to this idea that Steam is going to be the marketer for you. That if I just put my game on Steam, it's an automatic success. And like we said, that was true 10 years ago. It's not true
because 10
today.
years ago, there was only,
Like
20
50,
games on Steam?
Yeah.
So if anybody had Steam, then they knew about your games because there was only 20 games they could possibly know about on there. And they had a big player base. Where now they have an even bigger player base. What do you think? They're probably about 10 times bigger now on player base on Steam.
Probably.
But the games is like not 10 times, but like 2 million times bigger. So when the one thing that makes you succeed gets 10 times bigger, and the one thing you have to compete with gets 2 million times bigger, you got a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, and this is the issue when it comes to recognition with these kinds of games. Because again, like for the people, as I know, a lot of people who do watch the record versions will skip over the weird game segment and just go right to the main topic. But when we do that, how many of those thumbnails are just completely unappealing? It could be an amazing game. We could be talking, game of the year gameplay. But how many people are even going to bother clicking on the game, let alone looking at the store page, let alone even trying out if you have a free demo for it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I mean that's the second step of like. They have to like your thumbnail. That's like has multiple steps, but like each one of these core seven have like multiple steps underneath them. Like liking your thumbnail, then liking your capsule image, and then liking your trailer, liking your screenshots, liking the gameplay, liking the story sound interesting, liking all these different aspects. And they don't have to like all of it, but they have to like a vast proportion of it, and that's a really important part that Pony completely missed.
and this is the issue, like going back to what you're saying regarding trust, that many indie developers will turn to the idea that trust is going to lead to their success. If one person likes my game, they'll tell their friends, who will tell their friends, who will tell their friends, and then suddenly I have, 2,000 sales on Steam. It's a trap that I fell into with a lot of the stuff with Game Wisdom and doing the YouTube channel and both my writings to begin with. That if I just write good stuff and, make decent videos, the people will come to me. But
Yeah,
the problem with that is you still need to get that hook, the foot in the door that's going to get people. It has to be appealing to get them to even look at you in the first place. And one of the things that I did to become more appealing was I did more in terms of tags. I focused more on editing, better thumbnails. With my writings, I'm posting more on public places, getting more people to talk about me. And I'm getting a lot in the last year or two alone. I've gotten a lot more people interested. Okay, exactly. What about head shaving challenges? Does that help as well?
yeah.
But
And the thing is the way YouTube works is it snowballs.
yep,
The bigger you are,
the
the bigger
easier.
you'll become.
Yep, and that's the issue. That is the exact same correlation to a lot of the video game successes. As we said, the Clay example is a big one. Clay
Mm-hmm.
succeeds because Clay is Clay. Clay makes a good game, people love it, so more people talk about Clay. So that when Clay releases another game, more people are going to be excited about it because they know Clay. It's the same thing with Blizzard, Nintendo, Valve. That success breeds success. But the
Yeah.
issue, of course, is how do you get that initial success? And as a Pony said, exposure is very hard to do.
Yep. And that's the no.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why Clay, does the way it does is because they got all the way to the repeat and the
Mm-hmm.
refer. And they've repeated so many times and they've referred so many times that those are just a ever growing, ever you know uh, big growing thing that is growing on their own organically,
Mm-hmm.
that they don't even have to do anything. You
Yep.
know, they don't have to release a game. They don't have to do anything to get that to grow because I recommend people play Oxygen Not Included quite a lot. And I'm definitely interested in other Clay games. I'm not necessarily going to repeat on them, but I'm definitely interested in checking them
Mm-hmm.
out. But once you get that momentum, basically, you can keep on going. It's like Juggernaut. If anybody knows X-Men,
Mm-hmm.
he's fairly weak kind of thing when he's not moving. He's, when he's not started. But once he gains momentum, nothing's stopping him.
Yeah.
Or in the words of Juggernaut, I'm Juggernaut, bitch.
And that, again, that is the dream for every developer out there. That basically you are your own marketing platform at that point. That
Mm-hmm.
I can just say, here's a screenshot of a character of an unannounced game that I have no idea what the game's going to be, and we may release something in the next 8 months from now with another character, and people lose their minds over it, speculating what's it going to be, what's happening. And probably a decent example of this would be Tiny Build. Tiny Build, their games are very iffy to me. Like, I haven't found one that I really loved yet, but they
Mm-hmm.
do a really good job of, seeding the soil, or whatever that expression is, of getting people interested. They'll release a teaser trailer. They'll release like a 5-second GIF of some really weird or wacky screen, or the whole "Hello Neighbor" thing, and
Yeah.
it gets people interested in that. It gets them to start talking. Oh, what's it going to be? I don't know, but there's something new coming.
Yeah. Which that brings up a very big point in this conversation is, and I'm glad you referenced it,
Mm-hmm.
made me think about it. And that's the way you market your game being unknown is very, very different than how you market your game when you're known.
Yeah.
When you're known, you can put out little snippets here, there, everywhere, and people will gobble that up. They will absolutely go nuts over it. And you will get all the promotion from that. And that is the way to go if you're known. But if you're watching this, you're probably not known, just like I'm not known.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that stuff when you're not known, you just burned out marketing. You just ruined your entire marketing because number one, you put out bad or lesser looking stuff
Mm-hmm.
from your game, which is now going to get referred to and potentially by Google, and you also just put out something that could have had a lot of power later on, but now you've just zapped its power early on. And when you're unknown, and mind you, let me clarify this. I am no marketing expert. I am very much a marketing noob, and I am very much learning this. So don't take anything I say for 100%. But this is what I know from my knowledge: is that as a as a young a nobody, nobody knows you kind of thing, or basically nobody knows you. In the terms of world population, nobody knows you. You're not Lord Gaben. Everybody knows Lord Gaben. You're not Strauss Zelnick or any of these other massive names. You're not Clay. You're not Tiny Build. You're somebody that nobody knows.
Yeah.
You're not the developer. I forget their studio name. The ones behind FTL. But you're not any of these people.
Yeah.
So you have to market in a different way.
Oh.
And the way that I've basically figured out from all these different marketers and everybody else that's I've been obtaining knowledge from is you have to market in an explosive way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to market repeatedly, all at the same time in a row with super interesting stuff. Basically, where Clay or whatever, they can release a black and white drawing every 3 months and they will get eaten up. Where as somebody who's unknown, you have to put out something that is absolutely going to wow people, something that is going to blow their minds, and you have to do that like constantly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's daily or or
Consistently, I think consistency is very important when it
yeah,
comes to doing this.
consistency is one thing, and you have to do it for a long period of time. And by a long period of time, I mean probably 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
And you do that 4 to 6 weeks before your game launches. So you need to find out when your game's going to release, and then start this 4 to 6 months. I think I said weeks earlier. 4 to 6 months before you release. And you need to have enough content to stretch out between there, but you need to have as much content as possible. So if you have enough content, I guess the way to think about it would be, if you have enough content to blow their minds every day, then do it for 6 months. Blow their mind for every day for 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, some
If you
developers have done that. They'll release like a daily trailer or a daily character art or something like that.
yeah, if you have enough content to enough things to blow people's minds, then yeah, I mean that's probably a better way. Do it. Figure out what you have to blow people's minds with, and then take that and I guess divide that by 4 to 6 months, however long you go for. And I don't know where the optimum day would be, whether it's 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months kind of thing. But also keep in mind that after your release, don't stop your marketing.
Oh yes, and
But you need to have 4 to 6 months before your release.
yep, and that is another like one thing I wanted to add on to what you were saying earlier about things that work for people who are in the know versus those who don't. That
Mm-hmm.
some major developers will literally wait like a week or a month, and then they'll make the announcement of a game, like we saw with XCOM Chimera Squad. That they literally announced it, I think, what, like 2, 3 weeks before it actually came out. And that worked for them because of one very obvious reason. They're for access.
Push for access.
Yeah, nobody knows who Sid Meier is or Civilization.
No, I don't. I have no idea who these people are.
And again, and as like what Shark's been saying, that you have to be able to understand what you're able to offer to people, and what you can offer to people comes in many different forms. We have trailers, we have concept art, we have full cinematics, and of course you have your name. And like we've said, like the goal of this marketing at the end of the day is for you or your company to become a brand that people will recognize your name as a symbol of greatness. That it's something to be excited about. That
Yeah.
if I, again, like think about Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't have to do anything these days. They can just say, Shigeru Miyamoto is humming a song that could possibly be a new Mario game, and everybody will go crazy over it. The
Mm-hmm.
Smash Brother directs with the developer Sakurai, those do incredibly well. And again, they do very well because people know who Sakurai is. If he was just some random developer making like these 30-minute to an hour long videos, nobody would be caring. Uh, Another one, Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, since we're keeping with like a lot of indie developers, that if Scott Cawthorn at this point he can release a sketch of a new animatronic, and it will cause the internet to explode and game theory to go crazy over who is this new character. He
Well,
couldn't
that's
do
just
that.
a game theory.
What was that?
I said, but that's just a game theory.
But that wouldn't work 10 years ago before anyone ever heard of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yep. And the thing is when nobody knows your name, never put your name at the front.
Unless you're
You
Cheers.
only lead with your name when people know you.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you make your trailers for your game, don't put my company Nexus Games at the beginning of it until Nexus Games actually means something to somebody. Like, it needs to be put at the end. Put it at the end, because when nobody knows who you are, nobody's going to care who you are.
Exactly.
And you don't want to put that in the start of your trailer. You don't want to put that at the start of any of your selling pitches. You want to put why they should buy it. And being a no-name developer is not a good reason to buy it.
Yeah. And
Matter of fact, that's almost a reason to not buy it.
And I think ultimately, I think a major point we should clarify for people watching this is, like we've said, marketing depends really on what you are and what you're able to provide. Like we said, when you're well known, you need less marketing because your name is its own marketing plan. If you're a new developer or somebody just starting without major success, marketing is going to mean doing about 50 to 100 times more work.
Yep. And, some people mistake what marketing is. They think that you're putting out the no kind of thing, and people are just going to automatically like it, or you're forcing people to like it, or whatever. You're manipulating people into liking it. And, the only way you're manipulating people into liking it is if you have that name already.
Yep.
Because if you have that name, they're automatically going to like whatever you do. At least, at the first start of it. Yeah. But anybody else, what it's going to take for them to like it is that they actually like it. So your real main goal is, how like people talk about your target audience, and like that's always felt like just a nebulous term, kind of thing. And it's like, why should I know my target audience? What is my target audience? I don't even know how to figure it out. Well, I'd like to put it in a different term instead, know who your audience is. What you need to do is the people who you think will buy the game, you need to make sure they know about it. It's about getting the know to the people that will like it. You don't want to spend excess money trying to get people who aren't going to like it to know about it, because that's useless. Yeah. It's useless to find, have people, everybody who's not going to like your game, there's no point in getting them to know about it, because that's not going to do you any good.
Yep.
It's the people who are going to like it, know who those people are, and try to get them to know about it. And if you can get the people who like it to know, who will eventually like it, to know about it, then you can move on. You know where to target your no. You know where to, you will get a lot of likes because you're going out to the people that are going to like it. And then you can move on to the trust and getting that in there. And then the try/buy, it's almost try/buy when you're talking about game development. And then the repeat/refer. Of course, you can, again, refer falls into many different steps, can fall in right behind like in case of game development. Yeah. Now, as of to getting to know your target audience, Matthew, that is a hard one that I don't actually know.
Yeah.
Full hand. I do know that genre is very much a target audience. So if you're making a tactical RPG, then people who play a lot of tactical RPGs and like tactical RPGs would be definitely part of your target audience.
Yep, and
so that would definitely be part of it.
Yeah, I do want to add to that, but I want to go back to something you said a minute ago that's very important about what marketing is. Because there are developers out there, and I've seen them all over the place, who despise marketing. They see it as, you are just scamming people, and how dare you mention something that you're proud of, and you're just trying to, steal people's money. And those developers will never succeed. One of the things that I learned very quickly was, do not listen to the people on Reddit who don't like when you self-promote. Because marketing is all about self-promotion. That is essentially that is marketing in a nutshell. And you need to self promote because, like we said, the only way people are going to care and know about you is that you have to put the word out there, or you hire somebody to do that. But technically, they should also know and care about your product as well. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I think I've had to come around to myself is that I do a lot more posting about myself on Twitter these days. I, make announcements on the Discord channel. And yes, that is shilling for yourself. But at the end of the day, you need to shill for yourself. Like, shilling is not a four-letter word in this kind of context.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't shield for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then you just failed. There's no point in
Mm-hmm.
making a game other than for a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
There's if you want to be a successful game developer, then you have to shield, because if you don't, then you don't ever get anywhere. Now, shielding doesn't have to be bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's different kinds of shilling. There's a shilling of, hey, buy my stuff, and you're just trying to push it on them, kind of thing. You know, there's shilling that's manipulative. Oh, I'm a YouTuber. I just released this brand new shirt. It's available for a limited time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to tell you the time frame. When they run out, they run out. Buy them now before you miss out. That's mobile game
Yeah,
manipulation right
I
there.
saw like a YouTuber like who does one of the mobile game pools, and all of a sudden he gets excited about a pool and he goes, and I want at least 5,000 likes on this video because of it. I'm like, what? That's what you expect people to like, that you got a really rare pool on a gotcha?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and of course, like, what about the mobile games that show completely fake ads about what their game is? Like, even the ads had like nothing to do with the game itself.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, there's so many of those that refer to themselves as a demonetized word. You know, you
mm-hmm,
know. Let's see if I can refer to this in some kind of way that won't get us demonetized. Um, it's like a hen that is wearing a tie, right?
mm-hmm,
You have these hens that are wearing ties and walking around, in their business suits and everything.
mm-hmm,
It's like those, and then you get into the game, and there's no chickens wearing ties.
mm-hmm.
There's zero chickens wearing ties. I mean, you know there's characters that may not be wearing the most clothes, but they are, it's pretty
Yeah.
normal kind of thing. It's not anything
Or
outside of normal mobile kind of, free to play stuff.
mm-hmm,
So it's like, where's these chickens walking around with these ties? I want to see these chickens with ties, in business suits and everything, because I
yeah.
really like chickens with ties with business suits.
Mm.
You
And
know,
or the ads that have like they get YouTubers to play the game. They're screaming and ranting. The YouTube reactions that everyone knows I'm an expert on.
yeah.
And to the other point about trying to find what your audience is, again, this is work. This is going to be your homework as a game developer. That you need to figure out who your market is. If you don't know who your market is, why are you, unless you are making like a fan game, or you're just making a or you're just going to be a project developer or a hobbyist, there you go, then you don't need to worry about that. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're thinking, okay, I want to make a game that I intend to sell, you need to know who your market is. And again, your market is going to vary based on the game you're making. If I'm making a military shooter that is, super realistic, then I want to look at people who play military shooters. I want to look at people who study, military or reenactments or things like that. If I'm making a platformer, well, that's an easier game to market to in a sense. It means I go to platformer fans. But in that same vein, it's going to be harder because you're going to have to deal with everybody else who's marketing to platformers. And again, this is the issue or this is the challenge of marketing, that every game is different, every genre is different. There is very little carryover, other than, again, like we said, like the basic tips of making sure people know who you are. They have to like you, they have to trust you. But a lot of this is going to come down to your own research.
Hmm. And every game is different, and every game has to have its own path. So, like, even if I did know everything, and I definitely do not when it comes to marketing, especially, but even if I did, there's no way that I could, suggest, give you, like hard things that would apply to every game. Just like I can't tell you the same thing with game design.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, the basic outlines, like put a volume slider, put control, configuration, put a, start menu, do proper onboarding, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, hey, you should give this stat a +5 and give this other stat a -1. I can't tell you that because I don't know that. Every game is different.
Yeah, but
I can
there's
tell
that
you these
foundation.
broad, general things, but I can't tell you specifics.
Yep. And this again is where a lot of developers will tend to struggle. That they'll look at another game and think, "Oh, I just emulate that game and will be a success." Or one of my favorites is somebody makes a Darkest Dungeon clone and then say, "Why aren't people buying my game? I make it look like the Darkest Dungeon." Well, did you do any other marketing? No, I just made it look like Darkest Dungeon. Why should I look at your game then if I can look at Darkest Dungeon, which is also more recognizable because it's now a highly successful brand?
Yep. And you can't, the one thing I tell you, one thing that really kills people in marketing is survivor bias, or just even just game development as in a whole. If the game survived, aka if it succeeded, then you must be able to do the exact same thing, and you can't.
How about
The
the
only way you
developers?
Yeah, the only way that you can actually do the exact same thing is if you invent a time machine, go back and do it, and when they originally did it, and kill all of them off before they actually do it. Which I meant, like, in theory, you don't even have to go back in time for it. Just go find somebody who's, go to Cyberpunk 2077, kill all them off, and take over their studio, and then when you release your game, you're you just released Cyberpunk 2077. Although, I don't think that's legal, but
And
it's not as easy. It's not as easy as just doing what they do.
And not to mention developers who they have a successful game think, "Oh, I did this perfectly, and now I can just I can just go what is it, YOLO on my next game. My first game did reasonably well, so surely that means I should expand my budget 20 times and make a game in a genre I've never done before, and it will succeed."
Yeah, probably not. Because part of that trust is making games similar to the one that you made before.
Yeah.
Now, what a lot of developers have done is they just stick to one genre, and I don't think that's the best way to do it.
It's consistent, but I think it really depends on what you're doing. If you're just making the same platformer or the same RPG and just doing it 10 different ways, yes, you're building a brand, but it's going to be a very constricted brand.
Yeah. I think there's no problem with doing 10 different RPGs kind of thing, but they need to be legitimately different kind of thing, and or better.
Yeah, if you're not improving, I think that's another major point. I think this could be a tangent for marketing, but you should be improving between each game. If the 10th game you made is exactly the same as the first game that you made, there's a very big problem there.
Yeah. If you look at like Final Fantasy 1 through 10, for example, like everybody looks at them and they're like, "Oh, they're the exact same game," but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're very very different. Like if you look at Final Fantasy 7, it had for magic, anybody could use magic. It was based off of the material items that you equipped, and then you could do combos in between there, like an all and a fire, and then you light everybody on fire, or you do like slash and lightning, and
Mm-hmm.
now your sword or whatever weapon you have is now electrified, and you do electric damage on your normal hits.
Mm-hmm.
Which could be a bad thing if they were healed from electric, but you could do all these different combinations, and then that really changed up a lot of things. And then you look at like Final Fantasy 8, and what they did was you had to go to these specific draw points, draw out this magic from these draw points, and then each bit of magic that you had was your limited use. It basically became an item where you could only use it X amount of times based on how many times you drew. Normally you would draw more than one. You draw like 5 or 10 or something like that at once. But it was based off of that. And then, I believe you had to equip magic to your summons or vice versa, and that would change their stats and the way they performed. And also, I think that you also equipped it to items that changed that too. And then, like Final Fantasy X, the way they did it was they had the sphere grid where everybody could learn magic, but only like when you got to there, and you
Mm-hmm.
could like on like characters like Lulu and Yuna, that was right there at their start, and like characters like
Mm-hmm.
Orin, that was way off in the distance, and you would specifically pretty much have to work your way towards that,
Mm-hmm.
and he would not be good at it for a very very long time,
Yep.
and every one of them was very different. So like you know none of them, well, I mean, like technically objectively everybody enjoys some more than others, but like as game development wise, none of them were better than the others. They were all equal, but they were all different. It all
Mm-hmm.
provided this unique spice, and then they had completely different characters, completely different storylines,
Yep.
and they had many other things that were different. But that's just the surface level of what's different in just their magic system alone.
Yep. And again, Nintendo is another really good example of this. There are people who will criticize Nintendo saying all they do is just make Mario and Zelda. But each one of those games feature different systems, different ways of playing them. And they do iterate on those designs. Again, you can't just go from Zelda 1 to Breath of the Wild. You can see that evolution. The same with Mario from 2D to 3D. And
Mm-hmm.
again, if they just repeated the same exact thing every time, yes, they would have a fan base. They would have people who would love them for that specific game. But it is so much bigger with the fact that they've really grown that design.
Not only that, they changed it up. Like
Yep.
you look at the newest Mario, and all his powers are revolved around a hat.
Yep.
Like you possess enemies, you gain powers and all that stuff through the hat. You look at Mario 64, and you had hats in that one too, but it was very very different kind of hats. You had to get the hats out of the boxes. They were limited time. You'd
Yep.
run around and everything. You look at like Mario 1 and or Mario 3, and you had items there, that you could get out of blocks and everything. P wings. You had your raccoon, your Tanuki. All this other stuff. You look at what was the Super Mario Brothers World. You had
Yeah.
your cat suit and all that other stuff that was very very different. Not only are the power ups different, but how you use them and how you get them are different.
Yeah, and again, like this really is a good example we talk about marketing. That Nintendo can release a screenshot of Mario in a turtle suit, and it'll get people excited. Just a screenshot, like nothing else going on, just him standing there. You can't do that as an indie developer.
Well, you can if you're well known, if you're FTL or whatever, FTL developers or Clay kind of thing. But if you're unknown indie, no. If you're unknown AAA,
Mm-hmm.
that's safely extreme. And then,
Yeah,
if you're
unknown AAA.
yeah, if you're unknown AAA, you also can't do that. The point is if you're known, you can do that kind of thing. And it will generate tons of promotion for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unknown, yeah, that's not going to do anything for you.
Yeah, and let me see. Time wise, we are getting close, at least in terms of my time. So I'm trying to think if there's anything major. We talked about. Oh, I think another point that I wanted to bring up that is important for developers starting out, and I think you may have covered this as well earlier, is that you have to be aware of what footage or what promotional materials you show to people. And this is, I think, another issue that some developers will have. Like we said, there are some people who, the second they have, prototype one, stick figures moving around about their game, they'll post that to Google, Twitter, and all that. And you have to be really careful about what promotional materials and what information is out there about your title. Because I know we've said this before, but when Google is looking at stuff for a game or looking about stuff when you search, they will prioritize, how long that stuff has been out there for. So
Mm-hmm.
if you put out, trailer alpha 00001 that is horribly rough, all placeholder art and all that, and that's the first thing, that's what Google will probably pull when somebody searches for your game. Not
Mm-hmm.
that piece of footage that you spend, $50,000 you got perfectly commissioned from a well-known artist. It took them, 8 months to do. That's not what's going to show up first.
Yeah. And that's where I think having project names really comes in handy
Mm-hmm.
because you can show off stuff under the name Project Triad or Project
Mm-hmm.
RPS kind of thing before you come up with the final name of Chromasia or
Mm-hmm.
Actually should I tell everybody what Project Triad's real name is?
What?
Because I figured that out today.
I will leave that to your discretion. What does chat think? Should we go Shark on? While we're waiting for chat, like Nintendo did with a lot of their projects, like Project Dolphin, which I think is originally for the N64, and other. I'm trying to think of some other really good examples of this.
Mm-hmm.
And it is tough to know, again, when you want to show somebody. And again, like this is another big point. Like as with Shark's announcement, what we see from other developers, like once you have something solidified, you officially know your title name, you have the graphic style you want. It looks like something along those lines. When you are ready to show that, you want to shout that from the rooftops of people. Okay. N64 or Ultra 64 is N64. Got it.
Yeah. So I think everybody wants to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So the real name of Project Triad is, drumroll please, Project Triad. No. It is Neon Continuum. And here I'll post it in chat.
Mm-hmm.
That is the final name of Project Triad.
I think that was one of the ones that I voted for too.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I called from early on. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's probably going to be one of these like 7 names out of 4,000.
Yeah. And again, like we've said, like when it comes to this marketing, it's all about what you put out there for people to see. You didn't want to be making trailers saying Project Triad and spending time and money on that, because that's not going to be relevant once you come up with the name.
Mm-hmm.
Now that you have a name, now that you have art done, you can now start looking into doing marketing along those lines. And one of the things I tell to developers when they ask if I want to cover their game, what I say is, are you comfortable with somebody like me looking at the game? And this is a very important point, that if you want to show a friend or a playtester an early version of your game, something that isn't working right, that is maybe just 90% placeholder art, go right ahead and do that. But if you're getting in touch with somebody like me, or Markiplier, or Northern Lion, somebody who covers games professionally, they you're putting this in front of somebody who is not going to be they're not going to be pulling punches. If they see that your game has major bugs or performance issues or old, placeholder art, they're going to call your game out for that. And again, very importantly, if 8, 10 months, a year or two down the line that you release your game and people are looking stuff up, guess what's going to come up first? That video of Markiplier making fun of your game and how horrible it looks.
Yep. And as for what Matthew said, yeah, well, time travel's one of the 5 deck factions.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and cyberpunk's another, and sci-fi military. Although I think I need to find a better term for that. And machines, aliens. I think I might need to. I don't know. I'm still kind of out on aliens if I need to replace that one, but I definitely need to replace the sci-fi military
Mm-hmm.
term.
And I'm trying to think if there's one other point I want to say before the finale. I'm trying to think of, and like I said, with a lot of developers who send me their games, like we said like a few weeks ago, and I also like, as a quick tangent, like discussing about the whole sequel and branding. I need to either make a video or we have to have a topic about that. Maybe I'll start with a video and see what people think. But when people send me their games and I see things that are just completely off about this title, it really kills me to cover those games, because I know that even if I try and say the best things about it, people are going to look at it and go, this is a low quality piece of trash, completely ignore going forward.
Mm-hmm.
And getting back to the original point about knowing about the game and trusting it, that there are things that I can look beyond when I'm playing a game. Just as there are things, like as we said, that if I spot UI or UX issues, the game just goes downhill. It's going down Hindenburg style for me. And
Yep.
you have to be aware of what you are showing people. If you're trying to make a very polished trailer for your game and you have no original art for it, you are throwing money out the window. You're throwing it in the furnace at that point.
Yeah, because you should never make a trailer out of when you have no art.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're doing it for practice. Practice is fine, but you should never release your practice.
Oh, yes. And again,
Uh,
thank you, Pony. It's all about what you want out there. And it's the same thing for me with YouTube. That if I make a video and I leave an issue in it, or if there's a problem with something that I put out there, I'm not leaving that up. I'm deleting that. I'm going to upload a new version of it. Because you are only, as we said, you are only as good as your brand and your word. And if you betray that, you're down, and it's going to be very hard for you to recover.
yeah, and that going down is losing trust. That's the third step. It's funny that we've been going through these steps one at a time, and we're close to the end. We're just now starting the third step.
Mm-hmm.
If you betray that trust, you're going downhill after that.
Yeah.
I think we need, a marketing 101 or marketing 102 or something after this.
Yeah. But
We
trust
need,
really occupies a lot of aspects, not just with marketing, but with PR, with how you interact with people on your forum. And
mhm.
again, it's one of those things, it is the double edged sword when it comes to indie development. Because as an indie developer, you are putting yourself out there so that if people come to like you and they come to trust you, they're going to support you yourself. But when you betray that and people find out about it, it it basically just kills anything. And like we've said before, indie developers, while there it is worldwide, it is a very personal community. And when word gets out about you doing something illegal, malicious, or anything along those lines, people will find out and they will remember your name for all the wrong reasons.
Yep. And the trust is just so important. But like, trust is useless if nobody knows about you.
Yep.
Trust is useless if nobody likes you.
Yep.
I mean, like,
There's again a reason why somebody like Jeff Vogue can succeed with his Kickstarters for his games despite not having the best art or the best marketing around them. Because he has built up a loyal fan base who knows who he is for over 30, I think at this point, where are we at? Maybe 26 years of making
they know
games.
him, they like him, they trust him.
Yep.
They don't even need to try. They're automatically going to buy, and they're repeating, and they're going to refer everybody to them.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a full hourglass with all those people.
Sandy Pearson, another really great example.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he had a really successful Kickstarter, and guess what? That led to more success. And it's led to people, and I think this is another important point. It leads to people being confident that you know what you're doing. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something that, again, many indie developers struggle with because you don't have a name. You could be the best damn programmer. You could be, that god programmer who can completely build an entire engine in an afternoon and then spend another hour adding multiplayer. But if people don't know, if they're not confident that you can do this, then all the trailers, all the concept art, all the videos of you pleading for money and all that are going right down the train.
Yep. Think about it as like with social media.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say Twitter, because most people have their own Twitter. Not very many people have their own Discord servers.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say Twitter, which if you're a game developer, you need your own Discord server. Just putting that out there. The sooner the better. If you're already a indie, then you should already have your own Discord. Even if it's only got 3 people in it, you need your own Discord.
And you need a website. You need a landing page for
Yeah,
people to
I need a
find you.
website.
Yeah. And again, this is another very big problem that I see indie developers run into. That they'll release a game and there is literally no website. There is no press kit. There is no contact information. All they have is a Steam page and maybe a Twitter account.
Mm-hmm.
People, again, going back to know, people need to be able to find you, or you are just killing yourself in terms of marketing. Because while someone like me will do their damnedest to try and find the website that is on some random blog that will have some random email to contact you with, a lot of people are just going to say, I can't find anything about this guy, screw him, I'm going to move on to another game.
Yeah. If you're trying to make a game for sale, then you need to have a Discord. Simple as that.
And again, a website, you need
And a Twitter.
contact information. You need some way for people to find you.
Well, I think a website could wait a little bit until you get some art assets and
Yeah.
whatnot.
But eventually, you need a landing page. You
Yeah,
need.
before you release.
Yes,
So
definitely. You don't want
I
to
would
wait.
say, I would say at least 4 to 6 months before you release, because you need that, you know you need to go from, in that 4 to 6 months of marketing time, you need that website up
Yep.
for sure.
You need and you need content on that website. You need
Hmm.
screenshots, you need trailers, you need press information. And again, this stuff takes time to build. When I spoke with Eric from Indie Bros, like he said, one of the biggest things that developers will screw up on is that they will wait like a week or two before release before getting in touch with a publisher or start doing PR. You need a
But
TikTok, Shark.
yeah, TikTok. Forget how that saying goes. TikTok, watch the clock. Uh, I forget it. Do you remember it, Josh?
No, I don't. Now, to Ford's questions about like different Discord servers, that I don't have much experience with. Do you have anything to
Uh,
throw out there?
let me look at what he said. I would not base a Discord around a single game or a franchise. I would base a Discord around you as a developer, as a studio,
Yeah.
because the fact is if you have multiple Discords, then that means you have multiple fan bases,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you're starting over. You're basically going from known to unknown.
Yeah.
Again, you don't want to start over on your marketing. You want to, be a developer and stay a developer, so keep everybody in one place. Not to mention, the other thing is you will have to manage multiple communities,
Mm-hmm.
and it does cost something, because to have more Discords, not just to actually get your Discord, but like you're going to have a community manager for every Discord that you
Yep.
have. And while that could be you as a community manager, I'm my own community manager. I'm the community manager for my team, rather.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I have 8 different Discords that I have to be a community manager for, then that's a lot less time I have for literally everything else, and it's costing me time. And as I said, time is money.
Yep.
So you just want one Discord for your company as a total. Now that does not mean that you can't make multiple companies and have a Discord for each one of them, because that is totally legit. Because you remember what we talked about earlier about trust. Trust comes. We talked about genre a little bit. That
Mm-hmm.
people are trusting you to make games that they like. And I have a very different kind of look on this kind of thing. Where some people say that you should stick to one genre. Some people say just make what you like, and I would say sort of a middle ground in between that.
Mm-hmm.
I would say you need to limit yourself within certain perimeters. And the perimeters that I have defined for myself is you have, if you look at games in general, there's generally 2 different categories for them. There's definitely some that blur the lines, and we'll talk about the gray areas. The gray areas would be good in both kind of thing. But, if it's just off black or off white, you might as well just count that as white or black kind of thing. Where if it's like true gray, then yeah, you're good between the two. But the way I classify most games is it Twitch reaction based, like a platformer
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, or a fighting game, or DDR, or is it a strategy thinking game, like a tactical RPG, an RPG, a strategy game, a grand strategy game, a puzzle game, that kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look at it that way, you would think that, people who games that are good at about thinking and strategy and everything, they would like other games like that. And people who like Twitch for reaction kind of thing will like Twitch reactive, kind of games. So that's my personal thinking. So we're going with the strategy thinking side. With tactical RPG, we've already released. A tactical card game. And then we have like tons of RPGs, tactical RPGs. Card games and several other things like on on the burners kind of thing, on the back burners, waiting to be made kind of thing. And it's enough variety that it becomes much harder to burn yourself out as a developer, because like if you're just making one genre, you're going to burn yourself out really easily. But when you have about half of the genres in existence, it's a lot harder to burn yourself out.
Or if you, again, do different things within that genre. I know Jake Burgett with his solitaire games. He's done a lot of evolving that space, from Regency Solitaire to Shadowhand to Ancient Enemy. Again, being able to do different things, being able to explore that space is really great for game development.
Mm-hmm. But I think that divide really, like if you stick to one side or the other, in theory, and this is untested, but this is my theory. If you stick to that, people are going to be able to trust you and want to keep on repeatedly buying your games and keep on referring to you, because Clay has been doing pretty much that exact thing. None of their games are the exact same kind of genre kind of thing. I mean, the Don't Starve was a crafting survival game.
Mm-hmm.
Oxygen Not Included is sort of a genre of its own, but it does have survival aspects, definitely survival, but it also has like its own genre to that point. And their other game, what is it, Grifters or whatever? Is that the name of it?
You mean Grifflins?
Griftlands.
Mm-hmm.
That one is a like a strategy game, a strategy card game kind of thing. And it is very, very different than the other two. Well, they're all three very different from each other. Mm-hmm. But they're all games that have you think. They're not, let me hurry up and, let me click this real fast, click that real fast, click this real fast. It's not reaction based. It's thinking based. And I think that, and I think Josh, really favors the reaction based things with the things he plays, like the Souls likes are definitely reaction based, the platformers and the all that other stuff, all the masochism games, they're all very Twitch based, and Josh and I both really like beat 'em ups kind of thing, but beat 'em ups is one of those gray areas kind of thing. And depending on what mechanics you put in that beat 'em up to where it falls out in that gray scale, like, some of them have, quite heavy in kind of the RPG mechanics kind of thing. Some of them are very heavy in the reaction kind of stuff, but they are in that gray area kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, when you switch to a different genre, you are essentially, you're not exactly starting at zero if you are well known, but you're going to have to build things back up because people aren't going to trust you. If you are the maker of platformers, and then you say your next game is going to be a 3D Souls-like, you're going to have to put your money where your mouth is.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
but they're a lot more likely to believe you than if you said, if you go from a platformer to a tactical RPG or a card game, they would a lot more believe you on the the Dark Souls type game because it's a lot closer in relation.
Yeah. But I am just about out of time. I do need to get going. Here's my final point. And whenever we talk about marketing, I always go back to what Z from Serenity Forge told me. That for him, there is as much art in the business as there is business in the art. You cannot do one without the other. And the developers who, again, look at marketing as a four-letter word, that's something you need, only shills do it, it's horrible, you're selling out and all that, most likely they will not be succeeding as developers. Because nobody's going to find out about their games, nobody's going to be able to like them, they're not going to learn to trust them, and they're going to be sitting there wondering, I copied, FTL and Darkest Dungeon, why aren't people buying my game?
Mm-hmm. And those people, do you want to listen to people who will never ever be successful? People who are successful or people who could become successful? I'm currently in the third, the people who can become successful, and hopefully I will become successful. Mm-hmm. But like those people, I can guarantee you, short of a miracle, there is no way they're becoming successful.
Yep. And again, like as we've said many times when we have these discussions, there is no 100% guide to doing this. You can follow every step we've said. You can do everything 100% right, and you could still fail.
Absolutely.
But it's always about, again, mitigating the risks, because game development is risky enough. You don't need masochism mode for game development.
Yeah, which is sadly what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to absolutely manage all your risk. Risk management is very, very key. And if you're not doing marketing the way you need to market, then you're literally just saying, hey, you know what? Instead of, it's like an RPG kind of thing. It's like, hey, instead of, doing the marketing and everything and putting a plus, 200 in marketing, you know what? Why don't I just let the game decide if it wants to roll random dice for me? It could be a D1 million. It could also be a D1. It could also not even roll a dice and just give you a 0 and just instant fail and everything. And keep in mind that a plus 200 is not going to succeed because you're fighting against a boss that probably has like plus 2,000 to 2 million, maybe even. But plus 200 puts you in a better spot to roll whatever dice fate has for you than plus 0. And if you skip out on marketing, you are definitely a plus 0 on marketing. Now, then there's many places to get your bonuses. There's many places to mitigate your risk. But, marketing is probably one of the most critical of that. And the other probably most critical part would be your game's aesthetics. Because your game's aesthetics will foster the liking. It'll foster the trust. It'll foster wanting to give it a try. It fosters wanting to give it a buy. And if they like it, it fosters more repeats and more referrals. It literally amplifies everything in here. And if you don't do your aesthetics, then you're basically shooting all your marketing in the foot. And when you miss out on both aesthetics and marketing, that is almost a guaranteed failure.
Oh, yes.
Sadly, when you miss up on both of those, they're going to chain reaction, and it's going to be like knocking over dominoes, and those dominoes are, when that last domino fails, is when your game dies. Pretty much.
And it doesn't matter if your gameplay is amazing, because
Hmm.
nobody's going to play it.
Yep.
And again,
There is a
wishing.
miracle chance that maybe when those dominoes are knocking down, maybe fate will strike lightning and knock over a tree that knocks over a phone pole that knocks over a wire
Mm-hmm.
that sparks on the ground, flips up a fork that was laid out in the middle of the street somehow, that flies around, does like 20,000 loops, and then lands perfectly, straight down, forks in the ground, bracing your very, very last domino, preventing your game from falling.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But are you going to rely on that kind of critical success on a
Mm-hmm.
roll? I mean, that's like rolling 500 D20s in a row and getting a 20 in every last one of them. It basically ain't going to happen.
Yep.
There's a chance it could happen, but it's so astronomical that you might as well consider it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. All right, but with that, that knocks over the Neo Potato serves. Yeah. With that, I do need to get going for tonight. I think this was a really solid chat.
Yeah, I think it is too, and we need to continue going down this marketing path because we barely even got to scratch the surface, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I think this could be another really solid roundtable topic with Jack, and hopefully we can get Tim back on too, and Tomo.
Mm-hmm.
But
We'll probably definitely have to wait on that one until Tim gets back.
yeah, but with that, we're going to wrap things up for this week's cast. I'd like to thank everybody watching this either recorded or live. If you're interested in following us, you'll find links to our respective Twitters, Discords, and all that in the description of the video down below. And we will be back next Sunday around 4:30 EDT for our next show. And for those of you watching this live, I'll be back on later tonight for our regular game streams. I guess anything to add, Chuck, before we end things?
Well, if you want to see Project Triad / Neon Continuum, come join the Discord. There's lots of stuff to be shown there. Looks really good too.
All right, everybody. So, have a great rest of your Sunday, and come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where is in the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.
See ya.